Hello there. Welcome to Just the Dis. We talk about Blu-rays here and 4Ks. And for this episode, I am doing a collection update, but I am focusing specifically on horror titles in this round on 4K that I've gotten in the last 4 or 5 months. I haven't done enough collection update stuff. It's just something that I get a little behind on sometimes. So I thought, October is a good time to emphasize the horror of things. So I'm just going to go through some 4Ks here, and then I might have another round of Blu-rays later, another, separate thing or something like that. But anyway, let's get into the 4K horror. I'm going to start with the new 4K of Halloween H2O. This is the Paramount Steelbook. And so the tricky thing with this is that this movie has come out on 4K as part of the second box set that Scream Factory put out of Halloween movies. And I gotta assume it's the same transfer. But I don't have any information on that, unfortunately. The tricky part with this, though, is that this is a beautiful package. Actually, this 4K has a nice slipcover that has like a Halloween pumpkin and some leaves on it. It's a plastic slipcover that goes over the steelbook, and it's nice. But this is a completely bare bones release. Unfortunately, no Blu-ray, no extras of any kind. Comes with a digital code, which is nice. And the scan looks really good. Like, I checked it out and I, think it looks very nice. But in terms of the extras that came with the Halloween H2O Scream Factory version, you're not getting any of that. And so the tricky thing for me here is now I'm not 100% sure how much new content was ported over for the 4K set for Scream Factory. So point being is I have the Halloween Blu-ray set that Scream Factory did, including H2O, and I have a bunch of the 4Ks that I got separately, but I didn't get that second box set. So I'm not sure how much content I'm missing, but basically point being is I have now a 4K version of this movie, and I can go back to the old Blu-ray for extras if I want to. So I may do that. I may pick up that Halloween 4K Scream Factory set, the second volume, at some point. But for those that are just looking for certain movies from that, like I'm a fan of H2O. I like H2O. I like Steve Miner. I think he's one of the better directors, horror franchise directors around, because he did both Friday the 13th Part 2 and Part 3, which are two of my favorites from that series. H2O, not necessarily a favorite, but a movie that I like. And the back says, celebrate the 25th anniversary of Halloween H2O with this limited edition 4K Ultra HD Steelbook featuring the frightening return of the maniacal killer Michael Myers. Jamie Lee Curtis returns as Laurie Strode, still haunted by the tragic events of that fateful evening of terror on Halloween 1978. Featuring Josh Hartnett, Michelle Williams, LL Cool J, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and the original Scream Queen Janet Leigh in this fan favorite from Halloween franchise, directed by Steve Miner, Friday the 13th Part 2, and Lake Placid, which is another movie I like very much of Steve Miner's. So anyway, this is a really beautiful steelbook. If you're into collecting steelbooks, it's a pretty great display piece. I have to give it that for sure. So anyway, this is the new one from Paramount. That is the 4K of Halloween H2O. Next up, we have one of my favorites that I've gotten this year, and a favorite in general, and that is Blood and Black Lace. This is the 4K from Arrow. I believe this was only released in the UK. I could be wrong about that, but I believe that's the case. And this comes with a slip cover on the outside, and then you have a nice sturdy box on the inside with the 4K and a poster of the new artwork, and then the reverse artwork in here, which is great. Blood and Black Lace, of course, Mario Bava's film from 1964. Proto giallo, proto slasher, one of my favorite Bava movies, and this looks beautiful. I have to say, I was so pleased with this transfer. I bought this movie a bunch from Arrow, but it was nice to see it get this 4K. So this just is the 4K itself, which of course is region free. So you can pick it up from Diabolic or, Orbit or maybe even Amazon. I don't know, but you can play it in your US 4K player just fine. Has some lobby cards inside. And like I said, it looks great. The back says, the Christian Haute Couture fashion house is a home to models and backstabbing and blackmail and drug deals and murder. Having established a template for the giallo with The Girl Who Knew Too Much, Mario Bava set about cementing its rules with Blood and Black Lace. In doing so, he created one of the most influential films ever made, and Italian classic that would spearhead the giallo genre, provide a prototype for the slasher movie, and have a huge effect on filmmakers as diverse as Dario Argento and Martin Scorsese. And I'd like to thank Sam Raimi, because there's a specific shot in here of blood hitting a light bulb, and the light bulb swinging, and the whole room being covered with red light, that I'm pretty sure that Raimi ripped off for Evil Dead 2. I could be wrong, but that would be my guess. Newly restored from the original camera negative and presented here in its original uncut form, this all-new 4K Ultra HD release allows fans to see Blood and Black Lace afresh and offers newcomers the ideal introduction to the major piece of cult filmmaking. Yeah, so I mean, it's a story about some models living in a house. They start getting killed. There's drugs. There's beautiful filtered light, gelled light, reds and blues and just all kinds of cool colors. A cool killer who's like faceless, who wears like a sort of a faceplate mask that's just white, and he wears a hat, and really memorable to the point where I'm surprised it hasn't been ripped off a little bit more. But anyway, so 4K restoration for the original camera negative by Arrow Films, 4K presentation in Dolby Vision HDR 10 compatible, restored original lossless mono Italian and English soundtracks, audio commentary by Mario Bava's biographer Tim Lucas, psychoanalysis, a documentary on Blood and Black Lace and the origins of the giallo genre, featuring interviews with director Dario Argento, Lamberto Bava, screenwriter Ernesto Gastaldi, critics Roberto Curti and Steve Della Casa, and crime novelist Sandrone Desieri and Carlo Lucarelli. An appreciation by Helen Catet and Bruno Forzani, the creative duo behind Amer and The Strange Color of Your Body's Tears. Gender and Giallo, a visual essay by Michael McKenzie exploring the Giallo's relationship with the social upheavals of the 1960s and 70s. Blood and Bava, a panel discussion on Mario Bava featuring Dario Argento, Lamberto Bava, Steve Della Casa, recorded in 2014 Cormier Film Festival. Sinister Image, Cameron Mitchell, an episode of David Duval's television series devoted to the star of Blood and Black Lace and presented in full. The alternative U.S. opening title, sourced from Joe Dante's private print, original theatrical trailer, Image Galleries. Limited edition 60-page, perfect bound book featuring writing on the film by Howard Hughes, Alan Jones, and David Del Valle, plus new writing by Rachel Nesbitt and Kat Ellinger, fold-out double-sided poster featuring original newly commissioned artwork by Alon Sheedy, and 6 double-sided collector's postcards. So here's the book. It's beautiful. There's also a bunch of mannequins in this movie, red mannequins. It's such a gem. It's truly one of my favorite movies, period. Like, not just horror, but in terms of horror and style and Bava, it's right at the top, and I couldn't press pre-order quick enough for this. So highly recommended before it goes away. The UK 4K UHD of Blood and Black Lace. Then we have some Scream Factory stuff. We have The Burning on 4K. This stuff I've picked up over the last, again, several months. This is one of the great slashers of the 1980s. I haven't even had a chance to crack this one open yet. Of course, a group of summer camp pranksters get the scare of their lives when they target the camp's creepy caretaker, and he takes bloody revenge. Gruesome and stomach-churning, this terrifying tale is a brilliant slasher flick, gory as hell. After a cruel joke goes awry, severely burning him and subjecting him to 5 years of intensive, unsuccessful skin grafting treatments, Cropsey is back at camp and ready to wreak havoc on those who scarred him. Starring Brian Matthews, Lee Ayres, Brian Backer from Fast Times, Larry Joshua, and featuring early film appearances by Fisher Stevens, Jason Alexander, and Holly Hunter. The Burning is a grim and nasty movie that gets under your skin. Truly one of the great slashers of the 80s, if you're not already aware of it, but I know you guys are. Very gnarly kills and just kind of mean, but, you know, it's Tom Savini doing some great work on the effects, and I can't wait to check out this 4K of The Burning. New 2023 4K transfer from the original camera negative, audio commentary with director Tony Maylam and international film journalist Alan Jones, audio commentary with stars Shelley Bruce and Bonnie Dorosky. And then on the Blu-ray, we have those features as well as Blood and Fire Memories, a detailed look at the creation of the film's makeup effects with special effects artist Tom Disney, Slash and Cut interview with editor Jack Shoulder. I forgot that Jack Shoulder cut this. Cropsey Speaks interview with actor Lou David, Summer Camp Nightmare interview with actress Leah Ayres, behind the scenes footage, theatrical trailer, makeup effects, stills gallery, etc. So a classic slasher on 4K to follow Blood and Black Lace, actually. Then we have Exorcist 3, which is definitely one of my favorites in the series. This is the 4K Ultra HD from Scream Factory, and it's a blast. It's written and directed by William Peter Blatty, who of course wrote the original movie, and he really does some fun stuff in this. There's some very memorable scenes, people crawling around places. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen this movie. From experience, William Peter Blatty's original vision of his novel Legion with the director's cut of The Exorcist 3. For more than 15 years, Police Lieutenant Kinderman George C. Scott has been haunted by the death of his friend, Father Damien Karras. Now on the 15th anniversary of the exorcism that claimed the priest's life, Kinderman's world is once again shattered when a boy is found decapitated and savagely crucified. It's just the beginning of a nightmare series of bizarre religious murders. When a psychopath claiming to be the infamous Gemini killer admits responsibility for all the murders, Kinderman is confused with the horrifying truth that he cannot begin to explain. The man does know intimate details that only the true killer could possibly know. There's only one problem. The Gemini killer died in the electric chair 15 years ago. The Exorcist 3 is author-filmmaker William Peter Blatty's vision that followed after The Exorcist. Also included in the set is Legion, a director's cut of the film's long thought lost. So this has 3 discs. The first one is the UHD theatrical cut. So you're only getting that in UHD. 2023 4K scan of the original camera negative. That's everything on the 4K disc. On the second Blu-ray disc, you get that theatrical cut with a vintage featurette, deleted scenes, alternate takes and bloopers, deleted prologue, vintage interviews with cast and crew. And then on the third disc, you get the Legion director's cut. Doesn't say anything about the transfer specifically, but this has an audio interview with writer-director William Peter Blatty, Death Be Not Proud, a 5-part documentary on the making of Exorcist 3 featuring interviews with actor Brad Dourif. Buried the lead there, I should have mentioned him before. Producer Carter DeHaven, production designer Leslie Dilley, composer Barry DeVorzon, and more. So you really get a nice extra movie on this with that documentary that's included here. So very cool. Exorcist 3 on 4K. Then we have, this is a horror adjacent, I think, Night of the Comet, getting a 4K release. One of my favorites from the 80s, a true gem. Tom Eberhardt's film from 1984. The first comet to buzz the planet in 65 million years, and everyone seems to be celebrating its imminent arrival. Everyone, that is, except Regina Belmont, that's Catherine Mary Stewart, and her younger sister Samantha, Kelly Maroney. Two women who care more about fashion trends and than the celestial phenomenon. I don't know that that's totally true in the movie, but that's funny. Upon daybreak, when they discover that they're the only residents of Los Angeles, the comet hasn't vaporized or turned into a zombie, they do what all good Valley girls do. They go shopping. Okay, yes, they do go shopping, and that is a lot of fun. But when their day of mauling threatens to become a day of mauling, a little play on words there, they flee with killer zombies and blood-seeking scientists in hot pursuit. This cult classic was directed by Tom Eberhardt, sole survivor the night before, and features Robert Beltran from Star Trek Voyager, Sharon Farrell, and Mary Woronov, as well as Jeffrey Lewis, who's not mentioned there, but I like Jeffrey Lewis a lot. Of course, the father of Juliette Lewis. Features 4K disc, new 4K scan of the original camera negative in Dolby Vision, audio commentary with actors Kelly Maroney and Catherine Mary Stewart, audio commentary with director Tom Eberhardt, audio commentary with production designer John Muto. That's all on the 4K disc. Disc 2, the Blu-ray, has all that stuff. And then Valley Girls at the End of the World, interview with Kelly Maroney and Catherine Mary Stewart. The Last on Earth, interview with actor Robert Beltran. Curse of the Comet, interview with makeup effects artist David B. Miller. Trailers, etc. So very excited to have this 80s classic on 4K. Then we have this one I picked up from Dark Horizons. Final Exam on 4K and Blu-ray. And I'm just too big of a fan of this movie not to get it. And so I had to. So this has already come out from Scream Factory. The features on this, there aren't any. So you want to keep your Scream Factory Blu-ray. But this new 4K scan does look pretty good, I have to say. It's a brand new 4K scan with color correction from the original 35 negatives. And yeah, this is just a cheesy, fun slasher that I am a big fan of. I know some people think it's dumb or aren't entertained by it, but if you're not Team Radish, I just don't know what to tell you, really. At Lanier College, the semester is almost over. Exam week is coming to a close. Whenever upperclassmen play a prank by staging, I'm not going to say what if you haven't seen the movie. It's fun craziness. But the next excitement in school won't be a prank. It's something a lot more than an exam. Students are falling prey to the knife-wielding maniac, hell-bent on making sure that school is out forever. Now watching the slasher classic in all new 4K scan from the original camera negatives, Final Exam is back with a vengeance. So if you look up Dark Horizons, Dark Force Entertainment, you can find their their cartel site, their media cartel site, I think is where I got it. If you just look up Final Exam 4K, I think you can find it that way too, but definitely one that I had to get, like I said, because I just love this movie. So there's that. Just a few more here. We have Redeye on 4K, the Wes Craven film. This is fun in the wake of Oppenheimer. You get to watch Cillian Murphy in a crazy thriller that does really become kind of amped up, almost action horror. Legendary director Wes Craven received critical acclaim for smart, intense, incredibly Hitchcockian thriller, remastered for its debut on Blu-ray and 4K Ultra HD. I guess I didn't know it hadn't been on Blu-ray. I don't know if I'm reading that right. Rachel McAdams is Lisa, a hotel manager catching a red-eye flight back to Miami. Her seemingly charming seatmate, Jackson, Cillian Murphy, turns out to be something bad. I'm not going to spoil this because it's actually kind of fun. Revealing sinister intentions just after departure. If Lisa doesn't cooperate with his evil plan, her father will be hurt and blah, blah. I don't want to get, there's some stuff about this one that's just fun to watch. So if you haven't seen it, it's kind of crazy where it goes. And it definitely isn't given away here in that little blurb. But it's a really fun thrill ride. This has, on disc 2, a whole bunch of new features. New commentary by editor Patrick Lussier. New filmmaker focus, Wes Craven and Redeye. New Wes Craven in his own words. And then there's a commentary by director Wes Craven, producer Marianne Medellina, and editor Patrick Lussier, as well as the making of Redeye and Wes Craven, a new kind of thriller, and a gag reel. So a lot of features on this 4K. Definitely a fun, latter Wes Craven movie that I think more people need to see. I'm seeing it in the theater was a blast. Okay. Jaws 2. This one came out a while ago, but 45th anniversary of Jaws 2, my second favorite Jaws movie. Not a big competition between 1 and 2, but still, I think a real blast of a shark movie that would be better known and better appreciated if it wasn't a Jaws movie, but has some great kills and some great gnarly shark stuff, kid endangerment, a scarred shark that gets scarred and burned by gasoline in an explosion near the beginning of the movie, and Roy Scheider returning as Brody in a very sort of downtrodden, now he kind of looks crazy kind of role when the shark pops up again. And it's kind of sad to watch the Brody character in this movie, but I love where it goes. I love the climactic ocean-bound finale. I'm not going to spoil that either if you haven't seen it, but it's a really fun, Lorraine Gary coming back, Murray Hamilton coming back. There's a great young cast here that Keith Gordon is a part of the kid group. And this has deleted scenes, the making of Jaws 2, a portrait by actor Keith Gordon, which is a really great little thing he did. John Williams, the music of Jaws 2, the French joke, storyboards. And this transfer looks great. And it's better than the Blu-ray that was previously available by a good bit. Well worth your time picking up. I'm just a big Jaws 2 fan. So that's Jaws 2. And then lastly, we have Dr. Caligari from... This is from Mondo Macabro, one of their first 4Ks. And this movie is sort of a crazy cult item I remember seeing in just about every mom and pop cult section that I ever came across in my days scanning video stores. It's from 1989. Sexually deranged and stylistically unhinged, this psychedelic, surrealistic, neo-noir reworking of the 1920 German expressionist classic features Laura Albert as Mrs. Van Houten, a woman whose libido is dangerously out of control. There's only one place for her, the Caligari Insane Asylum, CIA. Madeleine Reynal plays Dr. Caligari, the granddaughter of the original doctor whose own experiments in psychosexual therapy have led her to the brink of a radical treatment involving hormonal exchange. Having drugged and imprisoned Mrs. Van Houten's sexually repressed husband, Caligari sets out to extract the brain fluid of the incurably nymphomaniac Mrs. Van Houten and inject it into the head of a cannibalistic serial killer, John Durbin, addicted to electroconvulsive therapy. What could possibly go wrong? With eye-popping set design from Steven Sadian, Night Dreams, Cafe Flesh, a luscious synth score courtesy of Mitchell Froome, not to mention an acid-tongued dialogue written by Jerry Stahl, Permanent Midnight. Dr. Caligari drops a dirty bomb on Reagan-era family values, mining high art and bad taste that parodies both mass media and pop culture through a roll call of staged citations and quotations as exquisitely framed as they are sexually charged. This is a very sexy movie, a very explicit movie, not to be put on around children by any means. And it's weird, super weird stuff. If you just look at the back, you can see some outfits, and there's this tongue sticking out of a wall and some things that are kind of crazy that give you a small sense of what this movie is like. But anyway, directed by Steven Sadian, written by Steven Sadian and Jerry Stahl, music by Mitchell Froome. I mentioned all that. Special features, brand new 4K transfer from the original film negative. It looks stunning. It looks ridiculous how good this is. Digitally restored, full frame in 1:8:5:1. Theatrical versions, selectable via setup menu, isolated music and effects track, audio commentary with director Steven Sadian, interview with Steven Sadian, interview with Madeleine Reynal, interview with Laura Albert, interview with co-writer Jerry Stahl, theatrical trailer, Going on a Radiation Vacation booklet by Heather Drain. So that's included in here as well. But yeah, this movie's nuts, really nuts. And it definitely defines what a cult movie is. When you watch it, you're like, oh, okay, that's what this is about. So a really nice 4K release from Mondo Macabro. Anyway, that will do it for this round of horror-y stuff, horror-adjacent stuff for Halloween on 4K. More to come very soon. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.